Welcome to another episode of Coder Conversations. Today we have composer and programmer Jonathan Colmenares. Welcome to the show.
Hey, it's good to be here. Thanks.
Oh man,
Yeah,
glad
thanks
to
for
have
coming
you
on, man.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to get things started, can you tell us a little bit about your background? So you're both a composer and a programmer. What made you choose both? Like, like both.
It's a bit of an interesting story. So I started out programming. Both of my parents are programmers, and they basically
Oh, wow.
have not, yeah, they basically lived a lot of their lives programming. So I grew up, tinkering with computers, and I learned the first language I learned was, I think Java at like age 10. So it's been, and I'm 22. I'm 22 now.
Wow.
So it's been a long time. When I got to high school, I picked up the violin, and I played the violin for like a few years in elementary school, but I wouldn't say it was anything more than a couple of scales. But
Sure. Sure.
I picked up the violin in high school, and I just was kind of fascinated by the whole writing process. So I did a little bit of I talked to one of my friends who gave me a book on how to get started with music theory, and I took off from there and I kept writing, and I did the AP music theory, and I got into school for music. I was obsessed with it for the longest time.
That's awesome.
But that programming side never really left. So, and I've just been trying to do as much of both as possible, especially in college. It's a little difficult, but I felt like it was a
Yeah.
rather decent job.
Like, do you find any parallels between programming and music?
Yeah, so people bring it up a lot. I don't know how much I know about it, but there's a lot of interesting parallels between the music theory side of composing. Like, it's very mathematical. Not to say that like there's a lot of numbers. Like, most of the time when you write on music theory, you count to 12 and that's about it. But it's very pattern based, and that the same can be said for any kind of computer science, but especially in programming, which is what I do in computer science. So they've gone hand in. It would have been a lot more difficult to stomach both programming and maybe some sort of like traditional English art. I don't know, something other than,
Right.
or maybe even just performance in general, because it's not the same. It's a different beast, performance and composition, because composition,
Oh, yeah.
you are just working at it constantly. The same with performance, but one thing that
You're
I
constantly trying to
also,
tinker with things and make things the best possible version they could be.
yeah, but also a huge downside with performance is that if you stop playing your instruments, you lose so much more than what you would
Right.
if you were to compose. It's like riding a bike. You ride a bike a few times as a kid, and you can ride a bike basically
Forever.
whenever. It's
Or
pure
like
muscle
you
memory.
learn to
But
swim. You learn to swim and then you can
you learn to
swim whenever.
swim, you learn to walk, you learn to talk. All that stuff is just imbued in muscle memory. But not everything is that way. But I do think that composition and programming are that way in particular, and they have similar pattern. They have parallels and pattern wise thinking. So I think that's been a huge help in that regard.
So, do you feel like learning about computers at a younger age kind of made you more open to learning music theory as you got older?
I am not very sure, although I will say that learning computers at a younger age has given me a huge leg up in any sort of in terms of learning languages, because and the same can be said for writing music. It's like learning a language, but because I did
Right.
a lot of language learning earlier, I felt like I might have learning the written language of music, the standard notation. I probably picked it up a lot faster because I had experience learning Java and a little bit of C++. So there's
No,
that kind of
Java is
pattern
no
learning.
joke.
Yeah,
Java is no joke. That's a big boy
it
language.
is. Java is a syntactical monster, and I think that's part of the reason why it has made learning every other language much easier.
So
Yeah,
is it
like I remember I learned Java and then I learned JavaScript immediately after. I was like, oh wait, JavaScript is way better. I like this. It's so much easier.
Yeah, dynamic languages in general have taken a huge turn. That's why people love Rust. Rust is always in the news because it's very sort of sugary, and it works with you well. Unlike C++, where you just kind of you type in a wrong character and the entire program explodes.
Right, exactly.
Like, was it your love of video gaming that got you into composing and programming, or?
Yes, I in particular, I don't think it would have been the same without this. I am so obsessed with video games and especially video game music. At some point, like maybe this year, at this point, I've spent more money on buying video game music than I have actual video games because I love,
Oh, wow.
I love listening to it and studying it. Like my Bandcamp collection is ginormous.
Have you
And
heard of a guy named Cubby, Kubbi, his album Ember?
I have not.
Okay, definitely check that out because that's like my favorite video game album in recent years.
Yeah, very nice. There's
It's
one.
kind of like it's chip tune. It's kind of like rock, drums, and guitar mixed with Game Boy.
Oh, that's good. Oh, chiptune's also still really popular to write for. I want to try it at some point. There's one composer that
Yeah,
I
chip
follow a
tune's
lot.
amazing.
There's one composer that I follow a lot. He's the Risk of Rain composer, Chris Christodoulou. And one thing that he does that I love that he does is he posts the stems to his music. So like once every year or 2 years or so, he'll you can buy the stems of the music for in a period of 2 days. And I have all this. I have all the stems. And the
Oh,
stems are
wow.
basically like if you look at a DAW and you have each individual instrument, that's what those are. So then I could just tinker with those and sample those and just study those, all the good stuff. Insane
Yeah,
stuff.
what do you primarily write in? Like Pro Tools, Logic, or do you have like hardware that you write on?
I'm actually like embarrassingly inexperienced with DAWs at the minute because I've spent 4 years in college doing the standard notation for so long. So I've spent so
Right.
long in college writing in standard notation. Not to say that I haven't written music in the sort of video game-esque style, but it's all been for like written instrumentation as opposed to DAW. But I have I've played a little bit with FL Studio and Reaper, and I want to buy Reaper so that I can actually get into it more.
Yeah. No,
But
FL
yeah,
FL Studio is pretty big. You can do a lot with it.
but yeah, it's good.
So, who are some of your favorite game composers right now?
Yeah, Chris Christodoulou is still my favorite game composer and just my favorite composer in general, just of all time. I love his style, the way he writes, all of it. I guess a couple
What games did he write for?
Risk of Rain 2, Deadbolt, Wanderlust Adventures. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking already. But those are the big ones. Those are the big ones he's written for. He's
Okay.
written for a couple of dramas like I don't remember the exact name of it. Music of the Gospels of the Flood. So a lot of dramas and movies, but mostly Risk of Rain, mostly video games. The sea will claim everything.
Very cool.
He has a very sort of unorthodox writing style in the sense that it's not the way most music is written just in general. A lot of music is very it feels standard, but there's always you can listen to any of his music and there's always going to be something that is like what is happening here? And it just and those are the kind of moments that I think has taken a lot of people's hearts in his music.
Yeah, I
Some
guess
close seconds too.
that's kind of how I feel about like progressive rock, like a band like Yes, Close to the Edge. Like it's really pushing limits. It's pushing the boundaries of music.
Yes, any sort of boundary pushing in music, I think is really good. It also kind of ties into how a lot of music schools are. I don't know. They feel like they're stuck in the past a lot of time. It was very
Right.
hard for me to like. I had to really push to allow the arts center to do what I had to do to get my recital to work. It was like I had a bunch of like normal instrumentation music, and then I had one piece that needed 3 amps and a drum set and a carpet and a bunch of crazy stuff. And I was haggling with them for like a month, basically, trying
Yeah.
to allow them to get me to do it. And even in the end, we had a couple of failures in the. So one of the amps in the middle of the piece died, like
Oh
it
no.
is, and which is crazy to me because we did a whole dress rehearsal and it didn't before, and I think it might have something to do with their power outlet. I have no idea, but that's just not something that recital hall was built for at all.
Right.
So it's very hard to try and make or even perform music outside that sort of classical esque box because you have to jump through hoops and then you have to make sure all the tech works and it's a mess. I'm surprised I even got it to work in the end because it was a nightmare, honestly.
Oh geez.
Yeah.
So are you creating your own indie game right now, and are you also composing for it and programming it?
That's a goal. Well, one thing what I've been doing for the most part right now is just kind of resting because I'm so overstimulated and I don't know if overstimulated is the right word, but I'm drained from music school, especially that last year with the recital and all that was a lot. So I've taken a
Do you
break,
feel like
and
burnout from it?
I don't know if burnout's the right word because at least over the past few weeks I've been feeling like, all right, I feel like I can, get back into it a bit more. I feel like I just
Yeah.
need I needed a pit stop basically. And I've been spending that time trying to do more of the computer side of things. So I'm studying to get an IT certification, hopefully soon. I got to schedule that exam. I'm just learning. I'm doing more work in Java, although I kind of want to move more towards C sharp, trying to dust off other skills that I have, which is why it's so nice that I have more than just composition because I have other things I can lean towards. If I get burned out on one thing, or if I need a break from one thing, then I can just
You just jump
put
ship
more
to
effort
the
into the
next
other. Yeah.
thing. Yeah, no, that's a great option to have.
But yeah, I really am interested in. I don't know how possible it is though, because the video game industry at the moment is kind of in a rough spot to say the least. Uh,
Yeah.
Layoffs all over the place and whatnot. Even like an
Like
indie studio.
Microsoft just let go of like another 750 people, I think.
Yeah, but that's Microsoft. There was a indie studio just a few days ago that made a really good 3D platformer, Penny's Big Breakaway, and they had a layoff. And the CEO was like, he was on Twitter and he was basically crying about it. Like he was like, "I'm so sorry. There's not much we can
Yeah.
do. Here's all their contacts. I'll vouch for them and all of that. I want them to get a job as soon as possible, but we physically cannot have them because we are losing money because we can't get funding." Like that kind of the whole industry is in that spot. It's rough.
Oh, what a mess.
Yeah. But I really that is a big goal of mine. I really want to make indie games uh and make music for other projects. Mostly, I've been trying to learn engines. Like Godot had a huge surge in users, including me. I've been trying to learn Godot for the better part of I want to say a month, but even then it's been kind of difficult because I had a foot injury that has made it really hard to stay motivated to do anything.
How'd that happen?
Yeah. This also happened on vacation. I can't catch a break. Every vacation has been like
Oh
hell in some
no.
regard. We were at the Outer Banks, and I was on a sofa bed, and I like hit my foot on the bed frame as I was, and it was next to the door. I was trying to leave, and I twisted my foot and I hit it on the bed frame, and there, boom, instant fracture. That's all it takes. That's all it takes.
Wow. Jeez. Sorry to hear
Yeah.
that.
Almost fully healed. I've been able to walk around the house today without needing to use my walking boots, so we're getting there. But that was like a huge sort of motivation drop for me that I am just now starting to recover from. I've done a lot more personal passion project work today than I have in the past couple months.
Yeah, like for me, I feel like I have burnt out with, writing video game music. Like I put out 4 albums and I haven't written anything in probably over a year. Like I just don't feel motivated to write anymore. I have a full length ready to release, which is great, but yeah, I just haven't lately haven't had any inspiration to write.
Yeah, I think it's it's a complicated problem because everyone has a different way of tackling that, and my way of tackling that is to just do something else for a bit.
Yeah, right. Just like you said, jump ship onto something totally different, like programming.
Yes.
So are you planning on entering the industry as a programmer or as a musician?
God, I have no idea, honestly, right now. I've been trying to build my portfolio after I graduated college so that I can have some more to show. There is a graduate school program that I am interested in maybe getting in next year or in 2 years, depends on if they will let me in this time, basically. That is just writing music for media like video games and TV shows. So if I have to go back to grad school, I don't really want to go back to grad school, but if I have to, preferably it'd be in a program like that. But
Would you say it's more so like you'd go back for the network, the alumni network?
the alumni network, but also having having that program under my belt is the main reason. That's the whole reason why I
I
stuck
see.
with music schools to the end, because I was getting such a good learning experience from my professors. It was at that point it wasn't really for the degree. The degree is nice and all, but
Right.
if I wasn't getting a good teaching experience, I would have just dropped it because it's not really the music degree is not really worth
Sure.
it. It's not the same. It's not the same as a computer science degree. It
Oh,
just
for
doesn't have
sure.
that
Very
same
different.
weight.
Very different.
But I've also because I've done programming for longer, I feel like it'd be a bit easier to get started as a programmer if I had to join another team or a company in that regard, because I have more experience writing stuff in programming languages than I do writing music. That's just how it is. Even though I went
With
to school for
music.
music, I just
Right.
have there's a difference between 12 years of programming and six years of writing music. That's like twice the length. So of course they're going to see that.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to do that. I'm going to try to do that to start because that's going to be faster and easier. But I'm hoping that I can continue to build a portfolio. And I have a few friends of mine, and we're trying to learn Godot together and maybe get like a demo or a sort of sketch project out eventually. So we have more experience actually
Right.
making stuff.
Right.
But it's gotten like really uncertain how to get in the industry. So what I'm trying to do right now, like at least for this year, is get just a normal basic IT day job so that I at least have some sort of cash flow, right?
Now, what about internships? Are you looking into those as well, or not really?
Not really. It's past the internship date, and I was trying to look for internships while I was in college, but because I was in a music program, it was harder to find what is it colleges, not colleges, internships that focused around music. But I did do a couple of intensive boot camp. I guess I did one intensive boot camp 2 years ago in Indiana, which was just 3 weeks of hey, write music and that's it. So I did that,
Right.
and that ended up becoming like eventually it became like a 40-minute like string quartet, which was interesting to say the least. It's like the best. It's the best showcase of my writing style, but at the same time, it is kind of imbued with the feeling of wanting to get out of college and move on with my life.
Now, you wrote a whole 40-minute long piece of music. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, it took a bit longer than 3 weeks, but that was like the main piece for my 40-minute. No, sorry, it was 20 minutes. Wow, that was
Oh,
very incorrect.
still.
That was
That's
very
still
incorrect. That was like my main piece for my recital.
So
No, that's still pretty long.
how relevant would you say music skill is, I mean music school is to you actually writing songs? Like has it really helped you
I
when it
don't know about music school per se, but my composition professors, there I wouldn't be able to write the music that I do now. Like the skill that I have now, it wouldn't be without them. It just wouldn't be. They have pushed me in ways that have only helped in that regard.
Sure.
So it's crazy, especially and the one professor that I had my last year, he's a percussionist. So I ended up falling in love with writing, percussive style pieces, and that was one of my pieces for my recital. Was that sort of the one that had 3 amps in a drum kit? That was where that was born from.
I
So it
see.
just changes in style, but also just keeping it going. I'm very, very glad that I stuck through it to the end, because that is just how I was able to learn so much out of that account.
Now, do you want to focus primarily on video game music or just music in general?
I would love to eventually focus on video game music, but I think it's more realistic if I, do music in general, but eventually like multimedia music, as in music for
Yeah.
movie, TV, and
Right.
video games. They're all kind of somewhat in the same sort of field. The main difference is that video game music is dynamic, so that's a different hurdle than the movies in TV. But getting experience in one of them is huge in getting experience for all 3 of them. At least that's the
Right.
example I had in my head.
Yeah, I hear that.
So, like, what are some series that you would love to be a composer on?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. It's really weird because I've been playing so much Risk of Rain specifically, but I don't think I would ever want to write music for Risk of Rain, because that is very much like where I take all my inspiration from. Like I'm the type of composer where it's like where I take inspiration from, I can't really add to. I want to use that to make other music. I don't know, if I had to pick a dream sort of scenario to write music for, it'd probably be like Hollow Knight. Um, the Persona series is really good. Deep Rock Galactic, those kinds of really sort of fast paced games, I guess. That's where the music can be really in your head. That's what the Risk of Rain 2 music is. It's very, very present. I don't want to write. I can write music, and I have succeeded in writing music where it's very ambient, but I want to write very present music. So any kind of
Right.
like really flashy,
Just like active.
any flashy game. If I'm ever given an assignment by literally anyone to write music for a flashy game, I will do it in a heartbeat, basically. But also even Inscription, which is I don't know if you've heard of Inscription, but Inscription is like a very slow paced like card style deck building roguelike, and I love that game. And I would have loved to write for that game, because that is just equally as intriguing, that sort of ambient style. It's just there's I don't know. I was gonna say Risk of Rain, but I don't think I could ever write for Risk of Rain, just because that would be a sort of
Yeah.
internal conflict of interest for me.
Well, like you said, it's your main influence, so you kind of want to take that and do something different with it.
It's hard to give a straight answer, because like I am a very much a sort of nomad when it comes to video games. I am never on the same game for more than a few weeks. Like I have a few games that I'm always playing. Risk of Rain is one of them. Spelunky is one of them. The Binding of Isaac is one of them. Deep Rock is one of them. But other than that, I always have like a
What
new
about like
set
Skyrim?
of games. Skyrim. Yeah. But I always have like a new set of games that I'm just like rotating in through, because I love that sort of. I love
Right.
experiencing those different kinds of play styles. So my Steam library is ginormous for that exact reason. It's huge.
Right.
So, if you could describe your predominant style, is it like more techno, jazz, orchestral? Like, what is the genre that you lean to most when you write?
The best way I can describe the style that I'm most leaning towards right now, as the piece that I last wrote, is mostly, oh my gosh, it's like synthesized rock. I don't know what to call it. It's really weird. It's like you have like a band where it's like, for my piece I had electric guitar, electric bass, keyboard and drum set, but it wasn't just like raw metal. It wasn't rock basically, but it was very percussion heavy. It had like it had a very steady beat, but it was also very sort of energetic. So it's not rock. It's not like loud and just all screaming guitars and whatnot, but it's like calculated. It's a calculated rock, I could say. It's a weird style. It's hard to describe, but that's the kind of style that I've been leaning towards. I have written a lot of classical orchestral in college, but that sort of
is it anything like Queen?
Oh my gosh, yeah. The moment we get into artists outside of the few that I know, I'm brain dead. I don't know I don't know any of them.
Yeah.
So no, I don't know.
Where can people hear your music at?
My music is on Bandcamp that's like the best track. I have a few remixes. Like my first test with video game music was playing with my friend's music. My friend John, he wrote a couple of tracks that I then played. I didn't sample at all. I recreated them in a different software, which was like my first sort of play test in trying to write video gamey music, and that's on my Bandcamp. A lot of the stuff that I wrote in college isn't on my Bandcamp, and that's simply because I don't have good recordings of them. Like that's the other thing about college is that it's really hard to dedicate time to perfecting each and every work that you put into. There's so much. The mentality is very much you've written this, cool. You wanted to get played, cool. Okay, moving on, and that's it. so right. it's a little difficult. That's part of the reason why I'm just trying to get into programming for now, because it's hard to build a portfolio when you have when the Bandcamp is kind of empty. But I can point to live streams of my previous recitals where those are pretty plentiful, but I don't link them anywhere because they sound incomplete. I'm not happy with them personally. I know people who have listened to those live streams and love them, but I am not happy with them, so I don't link them on my personal websites and whatnot.
Right.
I do have I have like an EP coming out on the 1st of October. Actually, it's not the style that I want to write. It's not at all like the video gaming style, but it is a collaboration between me and my best friend. And it's just two. They're very long piano pieces. There's one that I wrote and one that he wrote, and it's just like the last sort of it's kind of a satire on classical style, if you will, on classical contemporary style. But that's the first sort of, not the first, I guess the second for me, the second sort of like real music that I'm trying to put out. And I want to keep the track going. That's the thing that I need to really do moving forward now that I'm out of college, is that I need to start putting stuff out regularly so that I can keep building on top of it more and more, and I don't lose steam. And by the time I can actually, talk to someone else, in the guise of getting into a team or getting a job in that field, I have, here's my Bandcamp, or here's my Spotify, here's everything else that I've written, here's all the tools that I use in all the recordings. So that kind of momentum. But if you're watching the VOD, then my Bandcamp's on LinkedIn, or you can just look up Jonathan Colmenares on Spotify, and I'm the first result. So you can find me there.
There we go.
At least I would hope I'm the first result. I think I'm the only artist with that name on Spotify.
Yeah.
So how is your collaborative process? Like, you and your friend were working together. Like, do y'all just like take turns writing pieces? How do you make sure there's no conflicts if there are?
So this particular project was a bit of an oddball because it's a project that we started after we've written the pieces. So I wrote a piece, and I wrote this piece in like April, and it was a piano piece with a very long solo, like an improv solo, a cadenza, if you will. and he wrote a piece, a very long piece that is kind of like a minimalist. It's like a satire on how we felt during college. Like both of these pieces are kind of satire on how we felt during college. Even the name is the name of the project is called Epilogue of a Past Passion, which is inherently satirical because it's past passions that are kind of not very obvious. Like I still have a passion for writing music. I still have a passion for writing music, but what I don't have a passion for is dealing with college and dealing with that whole mentality and that cycle. So that's a satire on that. But but the hard part of that was getting the recording studio. I have a story on this one, and this is why you should always cough up money if you have it to get the resources you need, because I decided, hey, we can record this at our old college. So I emailed them and I asked, hey, can I have this room so I can record these two piano pieces? And they were like, sure, here's the room key, here's the code. And I didn't have to pay anything. Probably because I was alumni, right? I already paid them like a good chunk of money to go there. So we went there and we start recording the first piece. I'm there with my audio engineer and my BTS filmographer. And my friend is playing on the piano. And we started noticing tings in the audio. And some dude, I don't know who it was, they put tape inside the piano. Like, why? Why would you do that? So we had to manually take all the tape out. And even after all that, we record all the music. And I'm, 2 weeks later, I'm with my audio engineer trying to mix it with her. And we hear more tape in the recording. Like that wouldn't have happened if we had just, gotten an actual recording studio. And there were sounds of, things falling on the ground. And it was oh my gosh, it was kind of a nightmare. I'm happy we got through it though. We were able to edit some of it out, but that was a huge lesson in really make sure that the whole collaborative project is set, because I tried playing a little bit of it by ear with, trying to get the recording room. It was just a classroom too. It was a classroom with the piano. I don't remember what brand of piano it was, but it was just a classroom. And I let my audio engineer know like a week before that, hey, we want to record this. Please show up. So it was kind of a rough time, but we made it. That's the important part. It's less about making sure there's less of a hassle between each person in the collaborative project. Unless there's more of them. If you have a team of like 5 people, that's a bit harder to manage. But it was just me and my friend, and there were pieces we already wrote. Are we still on? Because my monitor just turned off.
Yeah, we're still going.
Okay, so I'm sorry. My monitor just lost power and it's back. I was scared that my computer crashed. Which is like deeply ironic because I'm talking about a kind of oh my gosh, there it goes again. Because I'm talking about a kind of stressful sort of time with this project and everything falling apart. So hopefully my computer doesn't fall apart, which is, that's just insane. But yeah, it was interesting, and it was I don't know. It was definitely nothing like any sort of programming collaborative project I've done. That's the difference, is that when you have a programming collaborative project, there are so many more moving parts, and it makes it a lot scarier. I've been very scared in collaborative programming projects because I'm always like, there's my style and there's my way of doing things on the code, and then I go commit it on Git, and then I pull later and it's all destroyed. And this project is unlike a piece that's like 15 minutes that you write in a few months, depending. That's just a generalization. But if you work on a project on Git, then so much is happening that you look away for 1 second and everything's different. And you're like, what is going on? What do I do? So it's a bit of a journey, I will say.
So like your school journey is almost to an end. So like what are you doing to prepare to be employed in your profession of choice after school?
I am done with school right now. I'm finished with school. I'm currently in the process of getting employed. I have sent out a lot of job applications, and I heard back from one of them, and that's because of a connection that I have. And hopefully the interview goes well. And if not, then I'll just keep looking for more. But that was another big unfortunate side effect of going to music school, is that if you aren't 24/7 on the block trying to get to know every single company in the area, when you're done with music school, you're gonna have a rough time because you have a bachelor of music. So, and there's very few like music jobs, and a lot of music jobs, they look for masters in music, and I don't have a master's in music. I just have a bachelor's in music. So
Right.
I try to apply for all these IT jobs because I can do IT. I have done IT. I will probably do IT on my monitor after this interview is over. But I don't have I don't have a bachelor of computer science, so it's made it very difficult to get a job in that sort of field. So it's kind of
Well, like Kevin can speak to that because he's a programmer and he was self-taught, right, Kevin?
Yeah, pretty much. Utilize different resources, books, courses, etc., and ended up teaching myself. But I was at a time when the industry was more wide open. It's a little harder to get in now, but you can still do it if you're really focused.
okay. I'm back. My whole computer froze for a second. I'm back.
Now, welcome back. But yeah, we were just talking about entering into the programming industry. Have you also applied to software development jobs?
Yes, I've applied to way more than I would have liked, and the whole job application process
Yeah.
feels very soulless, and I hate it a lot. I really hate it.
Yeah, absolutely agreed there.
It's a mess. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm starting to get worried. I'm starting to get a little envious of my colleagues from because they've they've either gone straight to master school, which I don't want to do. So if I was a little bit more stubborn about my education, then I would have gone straight to master school. But that's not me. So they've either gone straight to master school, or they did some weird freak internship in their junior year and just got the job instantly. Juggling
Right.
music school and like maybe a double major and also that internship, which I'm not cut out for. I'm not. That's the whole reason why I didn't, do other odd jobs while I was in school, is that I'm simply not cut out for that. I can't focus on college while also doing everything else. That's not me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I tried when I was younger, I tried to work full time and go to school full time. And eventually, the schoolwork just imploded.
Yeah, it's pretty hard balancing all of those things. But gotta kind of do what you gotta do.
Yeah, I'm making it by, and well, I mean, I'm very, very thankful to to all my family, especially my parents, for sticking through with it with me, because it's a since they're both programmers, they really pushed for me to go to computer school, which I did not do, but they supported me, and they're supporting me now, and hopefully all the way until
Great.
I'm like able to just kind of have my job and do what I need to do.
Do you feel like having gone to music school that's holding you back from getting software jobs? So like when they look at your resume,
Oh, 100%. I'm absolutely certain that I
Yeah.
don't have a job right now because I don't have a bachelor of computer science. That's like the only reason I would dare say, the only reason why I don't have a job right now. And I hate that I have to say that, but that's just how I feel, and that's probably how it is. So
Because
it's
yeah,
rough.
you're competing with a whole market of people who have that degree.
It's
yeah,
also really strange. I don't know. I've gotten a lot of, because Google, does its normal ad tracking thing. I've gotten a lot of videos recommended to me on YouTube that are like, here's why you're not getting jobs, or here's why every single job website is like, has fake job postings, and it's like very demoralizing. I don't need that from Google. So,
yeah, right.
So are you going to say like the next few months you're going to pivot more towards focusing on software and getting into the IT industry, and then maybe later on transition into music?
that's you basically described my exact plan. That's what I'm doing. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Like
No,
A plus on that.
That's smart.
Because at least that's like I said in the beginning, it's a difference in 12 years programming and 6 years writing music. And the more numbers on the resume doc, the better is how I feel, and probably how it is. But hey, I'm enjoying. I still enjoy writing music. I still enjoy programming. I haven't lost my love for those things. So it's just a very big hurdle that I've been faced with that I'm doing my best to overcome.
I know we had a music composer on here before, Kevin, and he said something to the degree of music, like working in music is not a straight line. It's not linear.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Every other composer that I've talked to who has at least somewhat made their footing in the industry, whatever industry it is that they're in,
Right.
has said basically the same thing. It's not a straight line, and you kind of have to figure out based on the gigs you get and whatever else you're able to sustain yourself with. So for me, that's probably going to mean, making sure that I can get a day job, but also leaving enough time for myself, probably late in the evenings or on the weekends, to work up the portfolio and get gigs. And at some point, because I don't know, freelancing does make livable money. It does, but you can't freelance off of $0 an hour. You can't start there. You need a day job. So
absolutely.
I don't know. That is how most of the people that I've talked to have talked about it. There's also industry specific issues, like the music, like the standard music industry has a lot of really pertinent issues with record holders and whatnot. And even though I don't work with a record holder, I do use a distribution service. I use Anti-Joy to get my music on streaming sites, and even that has been a kind of a pain because it feels very bureaucratic. And it probably is to some extent for the bigger of an artist you are. I remember reading on Google there was a lawsuit against a record. There was a lawsuit against Spotify from the record label of Eminem's music, and Eminem himself didn't know until like a week after the suit was filed. So that's how you know. That's how you know it's a little interesting. But that's not to say it's impossible. I know it's not impossible because people have done it, obviously. Otherwise we wouldn't have music for video games, and that'd be a little rough because then that means no potential to do that at all.
Right.
But it's there. So that's the important part, I think, is that, I have the end goal. I have what I want to do in mind. I'm not like wandering around with my life being like, I don't know what I'm doing. Or I mean, I guess I don't know what I'm doing, but I don't know what I want to do.
You have a plan, though. Yeah, you have some type of plan.
Yeah. It's not like a foolproof, concrete 100% plan, but I have an idea and I have a roadmap, and I just need to kind of steady myself. It was a little unfortunate because I still feel a little bit of pushback from the burnout that I got from college, and my best friend too. He feels that as well, but he even right now is just, he has a part-time job teaching violin, so he's doing something. But I think it's just that sort of like, he was talking to me the other day, and he was scared. It's like, am I gonna feel this way forever? Am I gonna not want to write music forever? And I feel like that's a understandable concern because
good question.
Even outside of music school, that's kind of, our generation is kind of very sort of We're depressed, man. We're depressed. I don't think college is helping, and it just seeps into our everyday lives. And I'm just trying to push back on that in my own life.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty difficult for your generation. You know, everything's really expensive. It's hard to find a job. Are you doing anything in the meantime to support yourself, like maybe teaching music lessons, Uber, or anything else to kind of survive?
Yeah, that's how it is. But like I said, I'm gonna keep holding out because that's the best thing I can do, I think.
Yeah, no, I would agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you just got to be persistent, man. You know, especially in tech now, you know, you're gonna have to put in countless apps, but you know, if you're really serious, just stay persistent.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm. That's the whole reason why I haven't quit. It's gonna be a long and interesting journey, I think, because college has kind of romanticized the whole here you get a job after college idea, and it's gonna be fine.
Sure.
High school romanticized college, so it's just a matter of getting over that too.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's all the questions that I had. Did you have any questions, Brian?
I guess one thing I would ask, if you could go back in time and kind of give yourself a warning or some tips before you even got into the music industry or like moving in that direction, what would you say to your younger self?
Oh my gosh, man! I would say don't drop the ball, because one thing I did in college, I dropped the ball so often, and
Yeah.
it led to a lot of being behind. In combination of just dropping the ball in college so often that I was being left behind. Don't get too invested in one particular thing, because when in high school I got too invested in music, and in college I got too invested in programming for the first 2 years, and then I ended up in this weird feedback loop where I couldn't really do one or the other. So there's that, but also keep keep making things. I still feel like to this day, the biggest thing that I still need to work on is that I don't have enough steam just making stuff. Like I just need to, I need to, and I want to continue to create repeatedly so that I have experience creating, and so that I can show that I've created things, and so that I can continue to create things. Because my first few years of college, I kind of stopped creating things for a bit. And then when I really started to pick up steam in my junior year of college, I felt a little overwhelmed because I just didn't have that momentum. Which is a little ironic because I did say earlier that writing music is like riding a bicycle where you can do it whenever you want. But at the same time, if you ride a bicycle, you haven't ridden a bicycle in 10 years, you're going to struggle a little bit and you might fall over a good number of times. Which
Absolutely.
I think that's exactly what I did, and I wish that I had just spent more time just creating. I want to just create video games and video game music, and I just want to.
Right.
I need to keep doing that.
Do you feel like it's tough to finish projects that you begin?
Oh no, actually it's the opposite. I find it very hard to get started. I find it incredibly hard
to get started.
Get started on the thing. It is easier for me to diagnose an issue with something not working while I'm working on the project than it is for me to get out of bed and start working on the project. That is very much that is like, I don't know. I don't want to call it a strength, but in some weird way it is, because if I'm already on the project, I will do it until like 4 a.m. I've done it before.
Right.
And I will just keep going at it. I think the other really, really big thing that I would like, and also like, I don't know if how far these podcasts for. I don't really watch these myself, but if like a high school level, if a high school aged person is watching this video and you are in a similar situation where it's like you like to write things, you like to write music, but you also really want to program, I would say that you should go to computer school. but also find a way to talk to the music professors wherever you go, because was my biggest strength. My music professors in music school, I would do all 4 years again if it was just them. If it was just them for 4 years every day for like 5 hours, I would never complain, because they were
Right.
some of the best, most inspiring individuals of my entire life. I'm gonna
That's amazing.
I'm gonna name drop one who's like already kind of like famous in that world. Eric Ginnivan. He is he's a professor at JMU, and he's a percussionist, and he has his music played all over the world. He's insane, and he is insane in like the best way possible. And he was one of the greatest inspirations, and I would do it all over again if it was just for them. So I would say go to computer school so that you can get the computer degree, but then find those music professors, because those music professors, they know their stuff. They really do. Just don't
just kind of like hone your craft, like work on something that's practical, but also like hone your craft at music at the same time.
Yes. I think it was very easy for me to tunnel vision when I first applied to music school, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to music school. I'll be fine. I'll find some kind of project to work on after I leave." Which, I'm here right now with nothing to do. So that's a pretty good indicator of that's not always going to be the case.
Right.
But it differs between industries. Like what kind of skills are better to go to school for, or to do or to get like personalized training for, or to get certifications for. I don't know if it's true, but I've heard a lot recently that it's a lot better to get tons of certifications in very specialized niches rather than to just get a degree in some industries, because that is just more appealing nowadays, especially now that a lot more people are kind of looking at college and saying, hey, this is a little bit off, I think. So do proper research on what it is you're trying to do, because I did not, and that is my biggest regret. But I'm here, so even if nothing goes even if not everything goes according to plan 100%, you'll eventually be fine. Just the only unsolvable problem in life is death. That was my grandmother's motto. And she said it till the day she died, and so will I. So there's always a way. There's always a way, and that's just how it is. We keep going.
Absolutely.
So Jonathan, did you have any closing thoughts you wanted to leave with the audience?
Oh my gosh, I just felt like I did my motivational closing thought speech there. You should listen to all of my music on Spotify right now. I'm just kidding, but that'd be funny though. I have new music coming out, and hopefully, I want to keep making stuff. It's been interesting seeing. I think the biggest reason why I wanted to come on this show in the first place was that so I could say a lot of this stuff out loud, and or to other people, which has been incredibly helpful. So most of all, thank you for having me. It's been great.
Absolutely. I mean, and I think it really helps the entry-level people, the other people that are green to the industry. It really helps to hear all of this that you're going through, the struggles, the wins, the losses, because a lot of the time, you don't see that.
Yeah. I am here, and I am like not at my best. I am struggling currently. I am currently like trying to get a day job so I can, I'm not some sort of big name at a big company. I'm just some guy who graduated college struggling to do what he loves to do. And that's also, on its own level, helpful to people who are kind of fearful. So glad to be of help.
Yeah, because we like to have the small fish and the big fish on here. We like to showcase all areas, all levels.
That's good. I'm really happy about that. But yeah, it's been fantastic. So I guess the only other thing I would say is study what, like, I don't know, I use the word study very carefully because I don't mean it in like the school sense, but study what you like to do. So I actually heard this from Pirate Software. Maybe you've heard of him. A lot his shorts have gone viral on YouTube, but immerse yourself in the media that you want to do. So if you want to make video games, go play video games. If you want to write music, go listen to music. If you want to write a story, go read a book, go watch a movie. Just I feel like also immersing yourself in the media is way more healthy than just trying to write without referencing anything in your brain. Like just locking yourself in the room, only trying to create without consuming is unhealthy. And I did that for a little bit in college, and now I have a bit of the opposite problem where I'm just consuming a bit too much and not creating enough. So
too much in
getting
the
that
other
balance is
direction.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great advice. Yeah, Brian, did you have any closing thoughts?
I would just speak to what we were talking about before, how music's not a straight line. Like for me, I've been a musician since I was 14. I came up in like punk rock bands, pop rock, pop punk, stuff like that, a little bit of metal. And eventually I had the opportunity to go to college, but I didn't get into music school. I was trying to go to this jazz program and I just didn't get in. My theory was kind of weak, and I guess my playing wasn't what they wanted. So instead of that, I ended up joining a band, and we moved out to LA when I was 22. And then I spent, the better part of 10 years in LA trying to do music. And now I'm doing music again here on the East Coast in Long Island, New York. So it's been kind of a bumpy road. It's been on and off. I've worked, in insurance. I worked as a technical recruiter. Like I worked as a programmer for a little bit. So I've bounced around for sure. But all I would say is just keep going, and something will eventually happen for you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you
Again,
guys
thank you
next
for having
time.
me. It's been fantastic. Just having more people to say this to. It's been great.
Absolutely, man. We'll have to bring you back on.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah.